property.
Right past there, yeah?
Yeah.
Is that for all of these sites?
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
so who are you? Sorry, you haven't even got a badge on.
Security.
You're security, okay.
Yeah, so, and you haven't got any pass to go on this site either, love. So it's private property. If you want to go over near the gate, please.
Just over by the gate, alright.
Thank you.
Just before I go over, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around.
No, you're not.
Get some videos.
No, you're not. It's private property. Which part you don't understand?
No, I mean past that way. Past.
You're not allowed to. You've got to ask permission for it. It's still private property.
I'll be on public land though,
Right,
filming
well,
private
that way
property.
then.
Is that okay? Yeah.
Why are you recording?
That's because I've just said I've come down here to do a bit of a.
You want to go to the gate first before we carry on?
Yeah, okay then. Yeah. What we up to you getting the boundary, your gate and stuff, and then I'll explain to you what I'm doing. Yeah.
As the auditor steps beyond the barrier, he's promptly stopped by a security guard who instructs him to leave, insisting the site is private property. But there's an immediate issue. The guard isn't displaying her SIA license badge while giving those orders. Under UK law, all licensed security personnel must have their SIA badge visible while on duty, a rule designed to maintain transparency and public trust. Despite this clear breach of regulation, the auditor avoids confrontation and steps back to the public boundary, choosing to continue the discussion calmly. The moment underlines a recurring inconsistency. Security officers often demand that others follow the rules, yet occasionally overlook their own professional obligations.
So you want me to delete this?
Yes, because
Why?
it's private property, you need to ask permission for us to do it. So can you please delete it?
I'd rather not. I'm not going to delete it.
It's your choice. You either do it or I'll phone the police. Your choice.
Well, listen, I'll just tell you what I'm doing, and then you can decide whether or not you want to call.
You come on a site which is private property. Now, I've asked, did you not ask permission of the property people to record? You've come onto this site and recorded without any permission. Now, you've got a choice to either record and delete that or contact the police.
Can I just explain to you then, before you contact the police, what's going on, yeah? What I'm doing is I'm just going to have a little walk around the perimeter and film the private land from public.
Well, you haven't done, have you? You just come on here onto private property and recorded it.
Yeah,
so I'd like you to delete it, please.
Yeah, but that's because you've asked me to leave, so I'm leaving now, yeah?
No. Would you walk onto anybody's site? Did you think it was private property? It's not. There's a reason why these gates are here and the barrier's here. So please, can you delete that footage? The beginning of you walking onto the site, can you please delete it? If you don't, I will contact the police.
Her demands carry no real legal authority, and her attempt to enforce a rule that doesn't exist only highlights a clear misunderstanding of UK photography laws. In the United Kingdom, there is no legislation that prohibits filming private property from a public space, or even from areas that are openly accessible to the public, unless a specific bylaw or legal restriction applies. More importantly, only a court order can compel someone to delete recorded material. Security staff, business owners, and even the police have no power to demand footage removal without due legal process. Additionally, the GDPR framework governs how organizations handle personal data, not private individuals capturing footage for personal or journalistic purposes. Her threat to call the police serves more as an intimidation tactic than a legitimate enforcement measure. Security personnel have no legal authority to control how someone uses lawfully obtained footage, and her insistence on deletion exposes a serious gap in training and understanding of the law.
Why is the barrier there then? Why is the barrier there? Is it there just to be like, just for show? No.
It's for vehicles.
Right, no it's not. It's for people like you, and that's why the gates are here. If you were coming onto this site, you'd walk through these gates. You haven't. For one, you've not asked permission to record anybody on this site, including me. So, I advise you to delete it off before I get the police involved. You've not written to this company to ask them to do recording.
Do I have to write? Why would I have to write?
You just walked onto this site thinking you've got rights to do. You have not.
Can I just say, don't get the police involved because there's no crime being committed.
There is. It's trespassing. No. You've come onto this property as trespassing, which is a civil suit at the end of the day, but you are recording against the company's policy.
Yeah, it's civil, that's what I mean, so you wouldn't ring the police, would you?
You are recording against a company's policy.
Yeah.
For one, you have to ask if you can come on this site and if you can go on to that side, which is private property.
Auditor continues recording while standing on what the guard insists is private property, claiming it violates company policy. But here's the fundamental flaw in her argument. Company policies are not laws. A private business can absolutely set internal rules about filming, but those rules only apply to its employees, contractors, or visitors who have agreed to them. A member of the public who hasn't entered into any contractual agreement isn't legally bound by company policy. Even she admits that trespass is a civil matter, which means the police have no role unless a criminal offense, such as aggravated trespass, has occurred. In this case, it clearly hasn't. What's really happening here is an attempt to turn internal company rules into law, and that simply doesn't hold up. Repeating "it's against policy" doesn't make it enforceable. It only exposes how limited her actual authority is in the situation.
Yeah.
Right?
But
you need to go and find out what your legal rights is. At the end of the day,
I know.
You don't.
I do know.
You don't. A lot of people think they do. They don't. Right? I've been doing this for years. I know the legal sides. Okay? So one, it's private property.
Yeah.
This is council property. That's council property. Come over to this gate. You come over that gate. It is private property. That's the reason why I am here.
Okay.
Now, I've advised you, and I've said it 3 times now. You either delete that footage that you recorded when you're coming on this site, or we will have to inform the police. What have you done?
Please don't ring the police, because there's been no crime committed. Trespass is civil, isn't it? The police don't get involved.
Matter. It's still private property. Whether it's civil or whether it's public or whatever way, it is still trespassing.
Yeah.
You have not got permission on the company to come on this site.
The auditor had already done what was asked. He left the premises when told to. At that point, there was no legal basis for further action. If police officers were to attend, they'd face 2 options. Either explain to the security guard that no offense had been committed, which she should already understand, or try to pressure the auditor into compliance despite having no lawful grounds to do so. This situation perfectly illustrates how private misunderstandings often waste public resources. Businesses sometimes call the police not because a crime has occurred, but because someone challenged their authority. Meanwhile, real incidents that require police attention are left waiting. All of this could have been avoided with a basic understanding of the law and the limits of a security guard's authority.
You've asked me to leave and I've left, haven't I? So there's no.
I'd like you to delete that, please. Because we've not given you permission to just record me, record this site, and record this wagon coming on site.
Okay, but what you're saying, just let me speak then. So what you're saying is I have to delete this. So you're saying you know the...
delete the area if you're coming up here. From there onwards, you can do whatever you want.
Okay, you know the law.
You are on a public footpath, like you've said to me. You are on a public footpath and you're taking photos, but still has to ask permission to come on site. You walked on site, which is trespassing. You can ask any police officer you like. I used to work with the police, so your choice.
What did you used to do part of the police?
I'm not telling you.
Right,
I'm not telling you.
That's really interesting.
Your choice to delete you walking into the site.
Have you got a license for your drone?
What kind of license do you need for a drone?
You need a license to come over a private company. You've got to have our permission to fly a drone over our company.
And you're saying I'm not going to fly the drone?
Yeah.
You're wrong then. You're wrong. Because I'm definitely going to fly that drone.
No, you're not. If I get the police, I will bring the police.
Another misinformed security guard steps in, this time challenging the auditor's right to operate his drone. He wrongly insists that the auditor must hold a license to fly over private property and even threatens to call the police. But his claim simply doesn't hold up. Under UK drone regulations set by the Civil Aviation Authority, CAA, drone pilots do not need permission from a landowner to fly over private property, provided they aren't taking off or landing on it without consent. As long as the flight occurs within unrestricted airspace and follows CAA safety guidelines, there's no legal issue whatsoever. The guard's threat to involve the police is just another intimidation tactic, not a reflection of the law. And when the officers eventually arrive later that night, as the auditor returns for aerial shots, the situation takes a disappointing turn. Rather than upholding the regulations, one officer appears more concerned with the security guard's feelings than with the actual law.
What's your name, darling?
I'd rather not give my name.
I mean, it's just politeness because I'm PCA's and this is my colleague, PC Greenhouse. So
PCA's, PC Greenhouse, yeah.
So what's your name?
I'd rather not give any names, if you know what I mean. I'm just out flying my drone, that's all.
We're asking you your name because we need to ascertain details because then I can say I've spoken to you. You've told me exactly what's happening and then I can close the log. But at the minute, I don't know who you are.
Yeah. You don't need to know who I am. Are you recording, by the way?
It's always
Ah, right. You're supposed to tell me before.
no, we don't have to say it. It's always on for
Look it up in your policy, love. Look it up in your policy. I'm recording. I don't need to tell you I ain't got a policy. You've got a policy because you're a data handler. You handle GDPR. I can request a copy of that. Yeah. So, but I would have request a copy if I didn't know you were recording. It's because anyway.
So many officers insist. We don't have to tell you when questioned about their body-worn cameras, but that's simply not true. According to the College of Policing's BWV guidance, officers must inform individuals at the earliest opportunity that recording has begun, unless doing so would compromise safety or an ongoing investigation. This ongoing disregard for established BWV policy exposes a serious gap in training and accountability. If officers were properly educated on their own operational standards, there'd be no reason for these repeated breaches. Instead, too many continue to ignore the rules, reinforcing the dangerous perception that police accountability is a choice, not a requirement.
So yeah, I'm just flying my drone. I'm out flying my drone. You don't need to know who I am. You don't need to know what I'm doing. You just need to know I'm flying a drone. That's all.
I know, but obviously there's a business there, so you flying a drone is obviously making that business feel uncomfortable, isn't it? Because he doesn't know who you are or why you're doing that. You could be a security risk to that business. He doesn't know you, does he?
Well, yeah, you've come and spoke to me now anyway. So yeah, I'm just. If you just let him know, I'm here flying a drone. And that's it really.
Right, well can you move on somewhere else away from the business?
I won't be moving on anywhere else. This is public land. Don't ask me to move on. That's ridiculous.
At the end of the day, you're making him feel...
I don't know who you think you are though, turning up like this and just telling me to move on. Don't tell me to move on.
This is a prime example of poor policing. Instead of enforcing the law impartially, the officer appears focused on removing the auditor simply because his presence makes others uncomfortable. This situation isn't about public order or crime prevention. It's about appeasing complaints rather than upholding rights. By telling the auditor to move on, the officer effectively treats a law-abiding citizen as the problem, when in reality, he has every legal right to be there. Policing should be grounded in facts, law, and fairness, not in feelings or convenience. If officers begin directing people to leave public spaces simply because someone objects to their activity, it sets a dangerous precedent. One where lawful conduct can be silenced at any moment by subjective discomfort.
I mean, I'm not doing it aggressively.
I'm not having a go. I'm just saying, don't tell me to move on.
I'm not doing it aggressively. I'm asking you politely that you're making him feel insecure because he's not aware of who you are. You're not even telling me who you are.
I'm not going to tell you who I am because I don't need to. There's no law.
You don't know who you are. That is a business. He's there for security purposes, and you're outside flying.
Can I just remind you both that you're here to uphold the law? You've got to go by laws. Yeah, you can't.
Absolutely, and I'm not breaking any law.
Yeah.
The auditor rightfully reminds her, "You're here to uphold the laws. You've got to go by the laws." Instead of acknowledging this, the officer deflects, replying, "I'm not breaking any laws." That response completely misses the point. The issue isn't whether the officer herself is committing an offense, it's that she's failing to enforce the law correctly. Her duty is to protect legal rights, not to side with whoever complains the loudest. Yet in this exchange, she's more concerned with the security guard's feelings than with ensuring the auditor is treated fairly and lawfully. This moment perfectly illustrates a wider problem in modern policing. Too often, officers prioritize keeping the peace superficially, rather than upholding the law substantively. Appeasing complainants has replaced objective law enforcement. And that's a serious problem for public trust.
Tell you what then, I'll reset relations a little bit. Just don't ask me to move on. It winds me up, does that? Because I'm studying public land now, just doing a legal activity.
That, but if you just go a little bit further down there, away from the business entrance, you're not going to make them feel uncomfortable, are you? You can appreciate though that without their permission, it can make them feel a little bit uncomfortable because they don't know why you're here, do they?
Well, the thing is...
If you get permission to do that, then I'm sure they'll be more than happy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, the thing is, one, I don't need to, but two, sometimes I do. But the thing is, what happens is that guy first came out there. He came out, and instead of just coming up to me and talking to me and saying, "Hiya, what are you doing? How are you flying a drone?" and all that kind of stuff, he ran up to me with a strobe light flashing at me, saying, "I've called the police on you," and that's that. And then he run back in his hut, turned all lights out. So at that point, I'm thinking, well, what do I do? Do I go down and say to him, "Don't worry, mate, it's just a drone"? You know what I mean?
Because potentially he's quite scared because he doesn't know who you are or what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? So he's in fear. And you can understand that, can't you?
This incident raises serious concerns about communication within the security team. If the day shift guards were already aware of the auditor and his presence, then why wasn't this information passed on to the night shift? Proper internal communication could have prevented the entire escalation. Instead, the night guard, left uninformed, reacted out of fear and confusion, ultimately wasting police time over an issue that could have been resolved in seconds. Rather than taking a measured and professional approach, his impulsive response only made the situation worse. It highlights a wider problem in the private security industry. Many personnel lack adequate training when it comes to handling public photography or auditing scenarios. With a simple handover briefing from the previous shift, this could have been avoided entirely. No confrontation, no police call-out, no drama.
Nah, you can't cause fear. You can't cause fear by turning up on a public land and flying a drone. I know, but from a legal standpoint,
we all have our own emotions and our own feelings. Everybody can make anybody feel unfair, and that's clearly what you did. Yeah,
but
you made him
from a legal standpoint, I haven't created fear or anything like that. From a legal standpoint,
for him, yeah.
A lot of people phone the police when you fly a drone over the premises, but it's because they don't know the law.
They don't know you. They don't know that you've got a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And they don't know what your interests are. You've just told us you're interested in buildings, you're doing nighttime shots, and now you've just told my colleague you've got a YouTube channel. But they don't know that. And this is, I'm not saying it's the same person.
Yeah, he never asked, but
within the last 4 days, we've had 2 calls about people flying drones here. So just because it's so close together, it's gonna spike a little bit of concern.
If somebody's gonna break into that and potentially cause damage, it's gonna make a massive effect on the whole area, isn't it? So they have to be very aware. So if they don't know you're coming, they don't know what you're here for, do they? So it's gonna make them feel a bit sort of worried, especially when it's a chemical place.
I don't want to do something wrong by you and act on something or say something or do something when I don't know it's right.
Well, the thing is, what I try to do is I try to avoid detaining arrests, so I can let you know if you need to know anything. But I will let you know today's flight has been 100% lawful.
Right,
that's fine. We just ask for your name, just so we know who you
At the end of the day, I appreciate that, but just as a person, it made him feel a bit sort of frightened for him to phone us. So just be aware of other people, do you know what I mean? Again, you're not doing anything illegal. You can't control somebody's feelings. And at the end of the day, if he's there for a security purpose, it's going to make him feel frightened because you don't know who you are. Yeah? Maybe before you do it, go and speak to him and explain to him like you did.
If anyone should have explained the situation beforehand, it was the business and security staff, not the auditor. It was their responsibility to brief the night guard that an audit had already taken place, so he wouldn't react out of fear if it happened again. Instead, they failed to pass on crucial information, leaving the guard panicked and uninformed, and prompting a completely unnecessary police call-out. The officer's logic here is entirely backward. The burden doesn't fall on the auditor to reassure security staff when he's done nothing wrong. Yet, rather than holding the business accountable for its poor internal communication, she places the blame on the auditor, proving once again that she's more focused on policing feelings than enforcing the law.
And then he will say, yeah, that's fine, I'm aware of it, it's okay, and I'm not threatened by it, that's alright, but at the end of the day, he doesn't know what's going on. Yeah?
But just have a quick word with him, put his mind at rest, and then, hopefully he'll be a bit happier, won't he?
Yeah, essentially.
We won't speak to him though, because obviously,
Go on then, let's go speak to him.
It may well be that we'll go on our own. It's fine. Just not cause any issues, but we'll go and speak to him, and we can put his mind at ease that we've had a conversation with you.
Okay then.
Okay?
Go on then.
Leave you to enjoy the rest of your night, sir.
Excellent, thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
As the officers step away to reassure the security guard, this moment sums up exactly how both the business and police got it wrong. Instead of focusing on facts or the law, the officers spent their time managing feelings, prioritizing emotion over evidence. This entire confrontation could have been avoided with simple communication, yet professionalism was missing on every level. The real issue started with poor coordination inside the business. The auditor had visited earlier that day, but no one thought to inform the night guard. So when he saw someone filming, he panicked instead of understanding the situation. A basic staff briefing would have prevented the confusion. Instead, that lack of awareness triggered an unnecessary police call. over something that was never a police matter to begin with. But the bigger failure came from the officers themselves. Rather than upholding the law, they chose to validate the guard's anxiety, treating a lawful activity as suspicious. Instead of educating the business, they reinforced the false idea that someone simply feeling uncomfortable is enough to justify police involvement. It isn't. At the end of the day, this was a collective failure. A business that didn't communicate, a guard who panicked, and officers who put emotions above legal rights.
Ooh,